Welcome, everyone, to this session of Administrator Issues and Updates on September 16th, 2025. County Administrator Gary Schmidt, would you please call the roll for us?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Roll call. Commissioner Savas.
Present.
Commissioner Helm.
Here.
Commissioner Schrader.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Chair Roberts.
Here. And thank you, Gary. I will now recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the North Clackamas Parks and Rec District Board of Directors. Gary, would you please introduce our first agenda item there?
Yes, Chair. This is an advisory board appointment for the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District Board. Andrew, go ahead, please.
Mr. Chair, the Milwaukee Community Center Advisory Board, staffed by the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District, currently has 3 openings. Recruitment opened in July 2025 and closed in August 2025. 2 applications were received and 1 applicant is recommended for appointment. The recommendation is as follows. Linda Malia to a first term ending October 2028. The Board of County Commissioners could select other candidates or require further recruitment, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Questions, colleagues? All right. Seeing none, may I have a motion?
Chair, I move that we approve the appointment of Linda Malia to the Milwaukee Community Center Advisory Board.
Second.
Right. Director West has moved to approve the appointment of Linda Malia to the Milwaukee Community Center Advisory Board. Director Helm has seconded that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Director Schrader.
Aye.
Director Savas.
Aye.
Director Helm.
Aye.
Director West.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I will now adjourn as the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District Board of Directors and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. And I'll turn to Gary for introducing our next agenda item.
Next is an update on National Voter Registration Day. Clackamas County Clerk McMullen will present. And there's a memo in your packet. Welcome, Clerk McMullen.
Good morning, thank you. Hello, Chair Roberts and Commissioners. My name is Catherine McMullen. I'm the County Clerk and Head Election Official for Clackamas County. I'm here to recognize National Voter Registration Day and to celebrate every eligible citizen's right to vote easily and without hassle. I want to invite you to join local election officials across Oregon and the country as we celebrate National Voter Registration Day. So we're encouraging Oregonians today to check their voter registration, make an impact, and vote local in this election and the next. As you may know, Clackamas County has 319,600 registered voters. And our county is urban, suburban, rural, and wild. And so are our voters. 176,100, or 55%, live in one of the county's 16 incorporated cities, while 143,500, or 45%, live in our unincorporated suburban and rural communities. In Oregon, you're eligible to register to vote if you're a resident of Oregon, a citizen of the United States, and at least 16 years old. And then once you turn 18, you'll get that first ballot in the mail for that first election. National Voter Registration Day was first celebrated in 2012, and it's a nationwide nonpartisan holiday where election officials, organizations, and volunteers can join forces to make sure that our families, our neighbors, and our communities are prepared to make their voices heard and make a plan to vote. As an election official, we ask citizens to take these 3 steps. First, check your voter registration status. Make sure your information is up to date at the Secretary of State's website. That's oregonvotes.gov. And voters should update their voter registration anytime they move, change their name, want to change their party affiliation. Second, in Clackamas County, you can sign up to track your ballot, and you'll receive alerts via text, phone, or email that we've mailed you your ballot, and then when we receive it back and we've accepted it for counting. You can do that on the Clackamas County Elections website. And finally, make a plan to vote in this election and the next one. So you want to make a plan that includes knowing when you're going to receive your ballot, when and where you're going to vote your ballot, and how you're going to be returning your ballot. You can return your ballot to any of 26 official ballot drop sites for a countywide election or through the mail. We're recommending that voters who want to mail their ballot back do so by the Friday before Election Day. If they're going to vote later than that, they take it directly to an official ballot drop site. County election officials are a reliable source of trusted and accurate information about elections processes and voter resources. I invite you to visit Clackamas County Elections at clackamas.us/elections for that most up-to-date information. I've provided the clerk to the board a copy of the memo, some National Voter Registration Day stickers for you all, as well as a poster to help celebrate today. And thank you for your attention to this matter.
Right. Catherine, thank you very much. Colleagues, questions or comments? Well, I do want to say thank you for the sticker, and I see Ben's already got it on, so nice job there, Commissioner. I encourage folks to register to vote. So with that being said, thank you for coming today, and I'll turn to Gary as to our next agenda
Great.
item.
Thank you,
Thank
Clerk
you
McMullen.
again.
Next is Board Business Forums, an update and seeking your direction. Dan Johnson, Director of Transportation and Development, will present. This is a follow-up to previous direction he provided to staff. Go ahead, please, Dan.
Laura Edmonds sends her apologies. She has jury duty today. She was so
Ah.
excited to be selected to do her part. So, back, just to remind the Board of County Commissioners, back on May 13th, we presented a business engagement program for board consideration. There was board approval of that plan. One component of that plan was a desire to have up to 3 forums over the next 12 months. The first of which has been scheduled. It's basically the state of the county, and that state of the county is currently scheduled November 5th of this year. We are here to get your guidance on 2 additional forums. If you look through your materials, there is attachment A, which is a copy of the business outreach strategy, and then essentially business B is kind of a more detailed assessment of some considerations on what those forums might be going forward. Staff has made a recommendation for those 2 forums, and that recommendation is kind of rooted in a couple of different things, one of which is a desire to have a discussion with one of our biggest sectors, which is healthcare, and what are the current opportunities and challenges facing that healthcare component, because they are, as we have discussed previously, a big sector within our economic development community of Clackamas County. And we've got a pretty sizable investment with Kaiser and some other expansions going on in the region. And then secondly, is a discussion on manufacturing. The board, as noted in their strategic plan and their goals, has a desire to look for land availability and increase land availability for a number of uses, one of which being manufacturing. So having said that, staff is here, willing to support whatever forums the board wishes to move forward over the next 12 months, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right. Commissioner Savas?
Yeah, Dan, appreciate that. You mentioned that we're going to have the state of the county, and that's going to be about everything we got going on in the county. I mean, ideally, we're not going to talk about every item, but it's broad. It's not just business. And I want to make a point, and then I have a question. Point is that some people that are unfamiliar with business necessarily don't have a positive outlook or thought about business. I think sometimes politics or whatnot, or misunderstanding that, why aren't you thinking about me, what's going on in my neighborhood versus, a business. So I certainly understand it's both, right? I mean, people are employed, businesses ought to be part of the community, business, especially small business, which is a majority of the state, country. Most businesses are small businesses. So I think there is opportunities to bring those together in a way that's productive. And so with that said, here's my question. The question is that what metrics do we have as far as our success or not, or any metrics we can provide to us now, in the future, or at the November 5th or 4th State of the County? I mean, what can we show them as far as our successes in economic development or how we help businesses? I think, sometimes I hear that, quite a few of the issues that businesses are facing, sometimes more in the public safety realm, right? They're getting, heard this almost 3 or 4 times last week. My business got broken into, I got robbed, I got this, and so businesses are asking for more law enforcement, for example. So I don't know what metrics we have, and I don't know if that could be also be a partnership with the sheriff's office as well to see what numbers we have to demonstrate, are there a number of complaints, for example? I mean, that's just one example. I mean, there's a number of examples, but what do we have for metrics?
So, metrics is an interesting word because it depends on the scope and scale and size of the business. So we have, and when we're having these discussions around economic vitality throughout Clackamas County, there's a couple of things that we, as government, are trying to make sure we're messaging to and from the community. To go specifically to your point on the metrics discussion from a county perspective, we actually do a business landscape analysis on an annual basis. We shared that with you last year. We're getting ready to share that with you this year, which essentially, but it's a macro look. It's a very high level look at specific sectors within Clackamas County and where they are at and how they are trending and how they are tracking. We just got that most recent report back about less than 30 days ago, and we're packaging up right now just to present to the board. Micro is a little more difficult. I mean, one of the things that we look at in regards to, we're tracking, example, so we're tracking like business recruitment and retention opportunities that are there and expansion opportunities that are there. We're tracking new businesses being brought in. The Board of County Commissioners established a grant program last year that actually brought 1 or 2 companies into the county moving forward. We also are tracking, and it's one of the things that we're tracking requests as well. So what do those requests for example, like siting criteria and siting requirements look like? I can tell you right now, there was a point in time where once a week you get the question, hey, we're looking for 5 to 10 acres of industrial land. And it's, okay, well, they're few and far between. There's not a lot of opportunities out there. And those aren't necessarily metrics, but they tell you kind of what the industry is needing and industry desires looking forward. We haven't talked about I haven't had a chance to engage with the sheriff about the health and safety discussion. We can do that and approach them and see kind of what data they've got. I'm not sure, and just at least see what that data is showing in regards to kind of safety issues associated with businesses of varying sizes.
Yeah, the other thing that's most common that we hear is permitting challenges, right? I mean, I think that's a drum that gets beat all the time. And I know in my 15 years, we made a lot of advancements, so thanks for that. But sometimes it's like, they don't see that. They don't understand that. They don't think they knew where we were and where we are. And also, sometimes they're maybe not as prepared when they file an application for a permit, or they don't have all the background, or they don't have an attorney or a land use expert to help them navigate it. So when your department, we're spending money, you got the economic development arm of your department, you've got the permitting DTD part, right? So there's metrics for those, right? You're part of our budget, those metrics as far as how we doing, right? What is the health? What are the goals, and where are we meeting that from a metric standpoint? That's really what I'm driving at.
So there's a close connection between those two. I'm not sure how we are efficient. We should have a discussion on how we measure the metrics and success of that. But I can tell you there's a relationship between that. So if a business approaches our economic development team is there hand in hand with that business. We just had, I can't name the business, we just had a recent inquiry from a local broker about a business looking to relocate in this area. Our business and economic development department was able to create and schedule a meeting with that broker and the business. They coordinated kind of a hand-holding or a hand-off of that to make sure it went smoothly. And the response that we got back from that was fabulous. Not only from the broker, because the broker has a regional interest and they're brokering property throughout the area, but also from the future businesses looking to relocate in the area. So we have to I think we can do a deeper dive into some of that. How many times a year does that happen, for example? Or how many engagements do we have? I know we're tracking that. I don't have that number off the top of my head, but I know we are tracking, for example, how many times our business and economic development group goes out and meets and talks and engages with community. How many times we're just ramping this up more, you've seen in your emails, trying to get engagements with you out in the community and meeting with businesses. So we're doing a lot of that. We do also, one thing that we do, which is a specific metric that you'll see in our budget, we do track we do track permitting that results in square footage that shows the economic health and value of an efficient and effective permitting system. The quicker that we're able to turn those permits around means they're able to invest their private dollars, resulting in long-term funding for government and the programs that the community may need going forward. But we are tracking that specifically.
Right. Just want to put that out there, that we got to be prepared with that, whether it's November 5th or 4th and forward. But it'd be nice to have that at hand so we know when we're talking to
Let us do
businesses.
some research on it, and we'll get back to you.
What's our success rate? Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Schrader.
Well, this is fantastic, Dan. This is kind of another iteration of what we used to do back in the day, and I was kind of pleased to see healthcare at the top, because at the time when Shelley Perini was here, healthcare was not identified as an economic engine in the state. And it wasn't until we said, whoa, we got Kaiser, we got, so that's the past. And so, and it's now it's, pretty solid. So there were a few things I wanted to not add at this point, because this is a good, I don't want to divert from what this essentially is. But one of the things I would look at too at this point is there's nothing here for ag, farm, and nursery. And nursery is a huge, one of our things here too. And the other piece of this is that there's no international component. For example, I was just talking to Dragonberry Produce the other day, because we were talking about workforce issues that she had come in. And they're one of the major exporters of local products to the Asian market. So I'm not saying do that immediately now, but I'm saying that these are things that, as you move forward with this particular process, that there's going to be more that you'll be able to look at. And that international component is a big deal for Oregon because of our hazelnuts, because of our berries, and again, one of our biggest markets is Southeast Asia. It used to be China. I'm not so sure that's the case anymore, but more than likely we're still exporting there. And then I'd really like to get a roadmap of our major traded sector businesses and who are the supply chain businesses that are working with them in the state, and maybe even getting an idea of what's out of the state. And finally, are we really looking at a land analysis at this point? Or have we started that, not finished it? Or, because again, isn't that going to inform who we attract to have here? In terms of what's available, then again, maybe we should be doing more of the medium-sized supply chain, might be a better fit with anything we do have. I don't know. That's just a question I keep asking myself.
So just briefly, the board did authorize 2 studies to be completed, one of which is underway, and we actually are in procurement right now to solidify the contract with the consultant, but it's an analysis of kind of the needs of the sectors that we have that are thriving and within Clackamas County. So when you say manufacturing, what kind of sites and utilities and things of that nature are those folks targeting in regards to their desires locally and regionally? Second part of that study was actually was a feasibility analysis. The board authorized us to go forward with a grant. We did not get that grant through Metro. We have applied again, though.
Okay.
And we are hoping to get that grant in this cycle and do a deeper dive into some of the feasibility of some of the development areas and land availability throughout Clackamas County. I want to remind everybody, we don't dictate a lot of that. That's a partnership with a lot of our cities, because our cities are on the perimeter and they are partners in this. So our role would be basically just information gathering, information sharing, discussions around opportunities and challenges associated with various areas.
Okay. And the other piece I wanted to mention is workforce, because we consistently hear that from all of our businesses getting a trained workforce. We're going to be undergoing some changes at the workforce level because of changes in the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act and the funding that's coming down. We don't know what's going to happen yet. Clackamas Workforce Partnership may be moving, not being a standalone, but being part of a larger regional system, and those conversations are happening now. And we're working very hard to make sure our workforce boards, we're included, and that it does not become Portland-centric. That's a big issue that we're going to be talking about. So we want to push back with whatever kind of a consolidation we have to make sure that we have a significant place at the workforce table. And my point is, I'm wondering if there's any way you can integrate a conversation about workforce when you talk about general things in this plan, because there is not a business that doesn't come and have a workforce, entities involved in that. Again, not immediately, because this is more than enough to
Oh,
do
we're on
right
it.
now. I'm just leaping ahead. We're already at the moon, I'm already at Mars, so I get that. But that might be something you can look at, because there's also the childcare component that is a barrier at workforce.
So you have a strategic plan objective for childcare. We're
Right.
on that. We're working through that.
Okay.
You are actually already developing workforce because you are partnering with us to give grant dollars to CCC.
Well, that's exactly right,
And that is
yeah.
a workforce component. We are going to bring October 21st. We have a tentatively scheduled event for economic development to bring back and refresh and remind all of you about the good work that EcoDevo has been doing. And ask some guidance on certain things, to share information about the program. And yes, workforce is a vital part of that, and it's a focus that we have. These kind of forums that we're having, essentially, we envision them as an opportunity for kind of that senior level leadership within these higher organizations of healthcare and other entities to come forward and just share. I mean, they're share opportunity for you to hear and listen, and what are their opportunities, what are their challenges they're facing, so that we collectively get a better understanding of that. And one of those components, most undoubtedly, will be workforce development.
Okay, and then higher education. I mean, we've got Oregon Tech here. They're the most successful university in the entire university system, and they graduate one of the largest numbers of students in high-tech fields and innovative areas too. So again, as you're talking about workforce, it might be interesting to include the community college folks as well as the places like Oregon Tech and where that component is. And we have a campus, I mean, their campus is actually co-located with Clackamas Community College in Wilsonville. So there's some opportunities there too.
All right,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Commissioner. Commissioner West.
Thank you. Dan, has there been any thoughts around location and partnerships for these? I support both these ideas, but locations and partnerships, for example, does Kaiser have a spot to host a forum around this? Does Providence have a location in the county to host a forum? Clackamas Community College, where there's workforce within healthcare, you can get your 2-year nursing degree, which is the same program they actually do out of OHSU to get it's called the OCNI program. OCNI is the OHSU nursing program. You can get your 2-year version of that to get your ADN to become an RN. You have CNAs, phlebotomy, all different kind of workforce issues within the college. They have space for. I like to do some stuff off-site that people might find interesting, and maybe incorporate some community education around what's available for the community to engage in. And I think it's good for us to get out into the community a little bit more than just here at the dais. So that would be my suggestion with both those issues. Is there any hub of success of manufacturing? I can see you chomping at the bit. Yeah, is there, like, Wilsonville has a decent little manufacturing hub within its city limits. So is there, somewhere we can actually highlight industry within our forums and how we maybe visit? So that's my thoughts. Maybe you're already in alignment with those already. It's nodding of your head, but if you could speak to that.
Once we get guidance on the forums, the board wishes to move forward. That is our intent. Our desire is to have something offsite. Go to these businesses where they're located at and listen with them outside of the confines of the county itself. We've talked about how some of those educational partners link with some of those, and healthcare is kind of a specific one. In fact, we're better assessing kind of where and how and opportunities, and we can go from this discussion once we get guidance from the board and see how there might be opportunities to educate the public a little bit more about those opportunities that are out there. It's funny you brought up that program at CCC. That is one of the ones that we targeted with the grant approval that the Board of County Commissioners approved with scholarship assistance. I think it was, I can't remember if it was $70,000 or $100,000. We've done, I think, 2 consecutive years to move forward with a partnership.
It's a fantastic program. It's top-notch. It's competitive. It's very difficult to get through and in. PCC has the same program. Mount Hood has the same program. They're feeders basically to OHSU's programs. I mean, I'm biased. I got my nursing education started through community college at Portland Community College through the Ockney program, the same program. It's robust, and it's comparable to any of the best nursing programs in the region. So, I mean, that's something to highlight too, as we do have a shortage. It would be interesting too, because the two big hospital players in our large sector of healthcare are Kaiser and Providence. OHSU doesn't really have a presence in Clackamas County, a large presence of any kind. It would be interesting, though, to bring some regional partners from outside of Clackamas County and invite them to have the conversation with us. I would love for OHSU to have a presence in our county, in one of the big counties. So I know that the other hospital systems are in all 3 counties. So it'd be great to have maybe, OHSU, what's your plans and how do you see this regionally, and how can we partner with you too as one of the big entities or the biggest entity in the region, so.
Great, thank you.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Dan. I'm so excited about these forums. I think this is going to be a great marketing tool, actually, for the county. And I was going to ask you, and I think you answered the question from Commissioner Schrader about what you see as happening. Like, you're going to have the larger manufacturing companies talk about, why they're here, what we do for them, and maybe how we can help them or take away some of the hurdles and one of the things I want to say is and we talked about, I know I've talked to you incessantly about land issues in Clackamas County, but I think one of our strengths is the diversity of businesses that we have here in the county, and they don't all require a lot of land. And that I want, large manufacturing facilities oftentimes take up a lot of land, just like a warehouse, and only employ 3 or 4 people, right? So some of the smaller businesses have a smaller footprint, but they can employ a lot of people in one building. So I'd love to know, I don't know if that falls under type or size of business, those numbers to help us kind of see where we're at with each type of businesses within the county. And then I was going to bring up childcare, which is a huge issue, and it comes up over and over again at every meeting we're at. So that's obviously one of our biggest concerns too. That was it. I will yield back. Thank you.
And I'm not sure who came on first.
I don't know
Go-
who's
Go
on. I
ahead.
can't see the
Yeah,
lights.
go ahead, Commissioner West.
I think it was Commissioner, I just turned it on, so,
Okay.
go ahead. Okay. Just an idea too is, have we engaged like the different chambers in the region? I think that, like North Clackamas Chamber, Oregon City Business Alliance, and I don't know it is kind of, we're all regionally kind of connected. We're not going this alone. Would it make sense to reach out to Portland Chamber and other large chambers in the area also to collaborate on these different things? There is a tiny bit of Portland in Clackamas County too, so what are their thoughts on this also?
I'm going to answer that. So yes, your local chambers and business alliances want to see you and meet with you. North Clackamas Chamber, I just met with their CEO, Jay Jones, last week. He wants to do a forum with you in the next few months, and you always have in the past. Oregon City Business Alliance does too. So does the Clackamas County Business Alliance. We haven't thought of the Portland chambers, but we
Can we
could.
just bring a chamber and just, that's a lot of meetings. Like, let's do a combined chamber forum on business
the
issues
Portland
where
Chamber would be
these all get together and we can be effective and not.
We could. That's a bit of a bigger ask. Forgive me, Dan. May I ask, how often do you want to have these forums? That will help me and Dan and staff put these together. Monthly, quarterly,
our schedule's
yearly?
already crazy.
Quarterly.
Quarterly? Because we have enough here to do at least quarterly. Would you be willing to do
I'd say
quarterly
quarterly.
business forums?
Yeah, that could fit within an already crazy schedule.
Seen head nods.
Dan.
I think quarterly is a great suggestion. I think that it'd be a good idea to really get a handle about what the lift is on what we're looking for doing one of these. We haven't done one of these in a while. And then kind of see how these initial 2 kind of roll out, and then we can talk about a schedule for a longer schedule. Anything less than a quarterly basis is a tough lift. I mean, it's not only on our side with staff, it's also the businesses, and their availability and getting things on the calendar. So I will note in the staff report, we specifically say that we are going to coordinate with local chambers and business organizations about anything that we do going forward.
But would a combined thing because we can't do like
I'm sure Portland
4
Chamber is
different
going to want to
chamber
talk to us
meetings,
about
right?
taking their businesses, but they probably won't have a lot of interest in that, but we can talk to them.
There's a little bit of Portland in the county, and there's crossover between,
Yeah, there is.
yeah. And what impacts Portland impacts Clackamas, period. And so insight from them.
And
is
a
just
chamber,
clever.
we hadn't considered a chamber-specific event.
Yeah, and
That is-
maybe, and that just like consolidates and still makes it big and effective. Yeah.
Great. Commissioner Savas.
Well, I was initially, when I turned my light on, I'm going to talk about this, but just to keep the thread going here, I might have a different view on trying to combine them, Commissioner West, only because I had an epiphany after going to a Chamber of the Commerce meeting in Estacada, after being to several in the rest of the county. And the epiphany was, my gosh, I've never seen any of these people anywhere else, right? Their issues are completely unique. And then it hit me, hey, Wilsonville Chamber of Commerce, when you go to Wilsonville, it's specific to that particular.
Yeah.
So when you mix them all together, you're not gonna, it's gonna be more a puree than it's gonna be that individualism or their challenges. So I would say that there might be advantages to maybe mix them together, but I think there's disadvantages as well that, you're gonna hear different things in Estacada than you're gonna hear in Wilsonville.
I can see that because isn't it the big Oregon one they do at the Moda Center every single year too?
Yeah. So what, yeah. So what I want to go back before the chair turns my light off there. The initial reason I turned my light on was to just, and I kind of touched on this a little bit, but I didn't make my point. I'm just concerned that if we take these, again, whether they're forums or town halls, however we do them, that we sprinkle it with community-based things as well, not just business. So I'm going back to this, and, we've gotten compliments, frankly, on the broad coverage of our priorities. And the first one up is 2026, and all of 2026 is public trust and good government, which is, it's everything, right? So I just want to make sure that we're not just business, that we're getting in community issues that are important in the community and all the other things we talk about. So while this covers it, I support that. I just want to make sure we also sprinkle with other things that maybe are not under that same umbrella.
Yes.
Took the words right out of my mouth. But I will say that if there's, in lieu of having many different meetings, and I agree quarterly is probably the max we can do, is there any way to combine some of these? Because just like Commissioner Savas mentioned, it's like the three-legged stool. There's social, economic, environmental. Where can we combine some of these where they can assist each other and learn from each other? And we can learn more having different types of organizations there and have fewer meetings, too.
So just on that point briefly, you look at the forums, the healthcare is pretty set. There are big players in that,
Yeah,
and there are
that's- yeah.
education components to that are pretty set. The industrial could take a different nuance to it. It could be, as you said, it could be large, it could be small, moderate sized. Industrial and manufacturing is a broad base.
Right.
And so what I'm hearing is a desire to make sure we have a diversity representation of
Yes,
those elements.
exactly.
To share what their various concerns and
Exactly.
questions might be.
Yes.
Okay.
And even bringing in childcare, other aspects to that are the social part of it, that employers are facing needed staff that they can't get because of these issues. And where can they help? If they have a manufacturing facility they're building, can they have a built-in childcare there at their space? Or can they add it to their business if it's not already been added? So just opening that door for other ideas and possibilities.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Schrader?
Yeah, and Dan, would you guys, I was just going to suggest this, the Pacific Northwest Defense Coalition was incubated in this county. We haven't talked or
I missed that. What was that?
The Pacific Northwest Defense Coalition, that was another initiative we had. It was Shelley. They're really huge now, and we incubated them here. I almost want to suggest if we would get in touch with them and invite them to some of these things and remind them that they wouldn't be there if it hadn't been for Clackamas County.
That's probably a question better answered by Laura.
Yeah,
She
I'll
may
talk
coordinate
to
with them
you.
directly, but I'll follow up.
Okay, I'll talk to her about that, too.
All right. Just a couple comments before we move on. I'm very excited to see we continue to come back to the strategic plan and the priorities of the board and help give guidance on priorities. And obviously, in that, as you're touching on those, it's childcare, vibrant economy, healthy people, public trust in government, strong infrastructure. And Dan, I just want to compliment you and your staff on really under the Office of Economic Development Business Forums, and your crew has just done an amazing job putting this together. And we've had a lot of conversations about this. I couldn't be more thrilled. And I think that we've talked about, and Martha's comment, so has Ben's comment on this, is also just, I think we all see this as healthcare as a big priority for our county with the shortage of CNAs, RNs, paramedics, EMTs, and from our perspective, trying to do the things that we can do to build a strong infrastructure to help support that. So I know we've had conversations, but, and for those that just, the outline and proposal that you have attached, and I've gone through this a number, and again, I just want to say how impressive it is. It's individual business meetings, industrial familiarization, tours, Office of Economic Development Engagement, business spotlights, business and community outreach opportunities, business forums, and then you break down all the different types. So I know you have all put a lot of work into this. I couldn't be more excited, and working with our business community and economic development is just very exciting. So huge thank you, and look forward to these forums. I wanted to make one kind of comment on the forums is, I think oftentimes we all forget how big this county is and how diverse it is, from the mountain to Molalla. And I think Commissioner said that well, is the needs are different. And I think because our county is so huge, there might be the opportunity to kind of divide and conquer. It could be two of the commissioners go to a chamber together, and we kind of do that. And because there are just so many. And I think we're trying to be, help all parts of the county. And sometimes it's easier to sometimes focus on one particular area, and I think all of us want to make sure we're providing that service countywide to the rural area as well, so it might be a thought. But that's all I had to say, so I think at this point I would turn to my colleagues for a motion.
Actually, Commissioners, you don't need a motion. I think we have clear direction.
Okay.
I do, on many steps to take. Let me just restate them quickly. Quarterly forums, partner with other agencies and chambers, including maybe Portland, have the events off-site, spread it out throughout the county, add more topics, make sure there's metrics that we share, include community forums as well, either part of these or separately. Those are all the things I heard you say. We'll make sure they all happen. The first one, though, can it be healthcare focused? Would that be okay?
Okay, the first two, healthcare and the
It's just
industrial.
healthcare first. That's all we're limited to. The rest, there's a lot of other topics, Dan, you and I will talk about offline.
Is that good? All right.
Good. We're
Thank
good.
you all
Thank you
very
so
much.
much.
All
Thank you,
right,
Dan.
next, advisory board and commission appointments. Andrew, go ahead, please.
Mr. Chair, the Clackamas County Clerk's Office offers 8 recommendations for the Property Value Appeals Board, formerly known as the Board of Property Tax Appeals. Although only 2 members constitute quorum for a property tax appeal hearing, the County Clerk's Office endeavors to recruit enough members to operate 2 boards and have alternative members for substitutions. Recruitment opened in July 2025 and closed in August of 2025. 8 applications were received, 6 incumbents, and 2 new. All 8 are recommended for appointment. The recommendation is as follows. Ron Brewster to a first term ending June 2027. Curtis Ham to a first term ending June 2027. Vicky Pounds to a 12th term ending June 2027. William Spencer to a 21st term ending June 2027. Daryl McCarthy to a 17th term ending June 2027. James Temple to a 6th term ending June 2027. Richard Deitch to a 7th term ending June 2027. And Tyler King to a 2nd term ending June 2027. The Board of County Commissioners could select other candidates or require further recruitment, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Chair, I move to approve the slate.
Right.
Second?
Can I,
let me go ahead and then we'll go to discussion. Commissioner Savas has moved to approve the appointment of Ron Brister, Curtis Ham, Vicky Pounds, William Spencer, Darrell McCarthy, James Temple, Richard Dyke, Tyler King to the Property Values Appeals Board. Commissioner Schrader is second. Any further discussion? And Commissioner Helm.
I'm just curious why only 2 members can form a quorum when there's this many people on a committee? Board.
The quorum is set by state statute, Commissioner, but the extra members, as I understand from the county clerk's office, is to ensure that, as necessary, there are always members who are ready and available at multiple boards to have multiple hearings if necessary, as well as to give newer members opportunities to get experience.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right. So with that, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Helm,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Gary, what's next?
Thank you. Next, board business meeting agenda review for this Thursday, September 18th, 2025. You have a full meeting, public communication, then Housing Authority consent agenda, a water environment services public hearing, which will be a resolution adopting system development charge methodology and establishing sanitary sewer and stormwater system development charge fees, water environment services consent agenda, a presentation on Suicide Prevention Month, a previously approved land use issue, a board discussion item to finalize a disposition and development agreement with a level OCC 01 for the Main Street Courthouse, the older courthouse, a long consent agenda, and a North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District consent agenda. And ideally, you're going to finish that whole meeting in 1 hour because you have other items that afternoon. If you have any questions on any of these items, I'd appreciate you giving me, tell me in advance so I can answer them, or have staff in the room to answer your questions for Thursday. Thank you. Chair, I am adding 2 items to issues that are not listed that are urgent for your consideration. First, County Counsel, Jeff Munz, if you please come forward. We are seeking your board delegation of an item that needs to be completed by next week, and you do not have a business meeting next week. Jeff Munz is Assistant County Counsel. Go ahead, please, Jeff.
Yes, thank you. This concerns a litigation involving Richard Sneath versus Clackamas County and other defendants. This is one where we have reached a tentative settlement agreement, and his employment would terminate on October 1st. Your next board meeting would be October 2nd. So we need to get it done before that time without having a meeting on the 25th. We're just asking for delegation of authority to approve the settlement agreement to the county administrator.
If you agree, I would ask for a motion. The motion would be that you delegate to the county administrator to sign the settlement agreement for Sneath versus Clackamas County.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Schrader made a motion to delegate county council's authority to handle the settlement litigation, approve the settlement litigation. It was seconded by Commissioner Helm. Any further discussion? I see some from Commissioner West. Go ahead.
Can I get clarification on the motion? Is it narrow in scope in that we're giving delegated authority to sign the settlement to our county administrator, Gary Schmidt? Or is this also the official approval of the settlement and the dollar figure?
It would be, signing the settlement agreement would be the official approval of the total amount of the settlement amount and other terms, which is exactly what was presented and agreed to in our previous discussions.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
All right. With that being said, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
It's a painful situation. Aye.
Commissioner Helm,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
No.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Gary?
All right, thank you. Next item I am adding is to share with you all in the public, you already know this, that the county is signing on to a support letter to the state of Oregon regarding Marion County versus Governor Kotek. This is a declaration judgment complaint filed by Marion County to the state of Oregon through the governor, seeking clarification on legal obligations in light of conflicts between Oregon Sanctuary Promise Act, Oregon Public Records Act, and federal law regarding the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ability to subpoena records from local governments regarding information sharing about immigration status. So you are one of 15 counties that have, as of today, signed on to this support letter. The support letter is simply supporting the declaratory judgment complaint to seek clarity. You're not taking sides on which side here is appropriate, rather clarity when state and federal law conflicts, which it does in this case. You have not joined the lawsuit as an amicus brief. You have simply signed a letter seeking clarity from the courts on this matter. So I want to state that publicly. You can add to what I just said, but you have signed a support letter. There's been some confusion by some of the members of the public who have heard about this already, which I don't know how, because this is the first time you're publicly discussing it, that you are violating sanctuary law. We are not violating Oregon sanctuary law. That you have joined a lawsuit. You have not joined a lawsuit. You have simply signed a letter seeking clarity from the courts. So happy to answer any questions, or if you want to add to any of that, please.
All right, thank you, Gary. Commissioner Savas has a comment?
Yeah, I can see maybe where people can get confused when it's worded like you initially worded it, a complaint, right, which is legalese, right? It's not couched in a way that actually the intent of, at least Clackamas County I can speak for, our intent is to get clarity so we can actually comply with both state law and federal law. How do we thread that needle? So we're just asking for that clarification. We're not challenging state law. We're not challenging federal law. It's not necessarily a complaint, but in the legal form, that's what it's called a complaint, but we're asking for a ruling on how do we thread that needle. So just want to make that clarification. I can see how people could be confused.
Yes.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yes, and I was contacted by someone from the Clackamas County Democrats, and it was one of their social justice groups. And they were saying, oh, we're cooperating, da-da-da. And I explained to them that was an incorrect statement. Okay, I explained that we are a statutory county, okay, and we follow Oregon statutes. And that at this point in time, our statute says we are a sanctuary state. And so as a statutory county, there you go. The constitutional issue that we're facing right now is whether federal law supersedes state law. And by signing on to this, it's going to at least answer a legal question that has not been answered and should have been answered a very, very long time ago. So I want to clarify that with folks. How Gary, you explained it, and Commissioner Savas, how you have explained it. This is a question. This is not saying that we are doing one thing or the other with the entity, but all the counties in the state, as well as I could say the majority of counties in the nation, are facing this issue based on federal law versus state rights and those laws in the state. I think I'm correct. I'm looking at Jeff Munns. I think that's one way to explain this to people. This is not just happening in Clackamas County. These kinds of questions are being asked nationally. And I, for one, I'm going to be having a conversation with the National Association of Counties so I can get a sense of how this is being carried out around the United States. So it's an issue we're all grappling with. Thank you.
And Commissioner West.
Yeah, the letter's very narrow, it's very short, because counties are stuck in the middle between two big dogs, right? And so we have the state on one end that has had a long history. I think we're the first to pass sanctuary laws in the nation. We have some of the most stringent, or arguably the most stringent, pro-sanctuary laws in the country. And now we have the federal government, whose responsibility is to enforce the federal law around immigration and protect borders, and counties are stuck in the middle. Our priority is a safe county, a functioning county, a livable county for everybody, but right now the counties are at risk, and there's a threat to counties because we're stuck in the middle. And so our goal and our purpose in signing on to this letter with a number of other counties throughout the entire state, there's 36 counties in this state, and I think the majority of them feel this, is we're at risk because of these conflicts. So we are going to go to court and use the process that's before us to get clarification so that we can govern better and respect the rule of law in the way that is set before us. And a lot of these bigger national issues, counties, really it's not in our scope of county work. But when it does intersect with us, when we do get directives from the state and then a directive from the feds, and we're like, I don't know whether to agree with mom or I agree with dad or what I'm supposed to do, and here we are in the middle. We're kind of like that kid in the middle, and so this is trying to go to the courts to get clarification. And so the goal is to protect the county's interests so that we can continue to do good work. That's why I support signing on to this letter. That's how I see it, and that's how it reads when you clearly read the very short letter that many counties are signing on to.
Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, I'd be remiss not to mention that initially, I believe it was reported that 30-some-odd sheriffs signed on to this letter. Not all 36, but a majority of the sheriffs signed on, including Sheriff Brandenburg, I believe. I saw her name on the list. I didn't talk to her about this. So, then I think that what happened after that, subsequent to that, was that some of the counties decided to sign on. And the way we're approaching this is because we are in a financial crunch. Finances or not, we're in the red right now. We got to figure out a way where we're going to cut to get ourselves back in the black, but we don't have the money to join. There's two different ways of joining this, in a more strong or formidable way, but it costs too much money for us to do that. So we're taking the lowest cost and just simply doing a sign-on, which has no cost, for all the reasons just stated. So I just wanted to point that out.
Right. I just had one comment to add, kind of following up on that, is Oregon State Sheriff's Association, and it was 34 members, or 34 county sheriff's agencies signed on to it. And again, in their letter that was also submitted was really clearly, it was seeking clarification of their legal obligation in light of the apparent conflicts between the Oregon Sanctuary Promise Act, Oregon Public Records Act, and federal law. They agree that there's just a good deal of uncertainty in how the state and federal applies to local government sheriff's office in the state of Oregon. And really kind of enclosing a detailed opinion that provides the type of clarity that will help all local government in Oregon ensure they are properly following federal, state, and local laws. So I, again, want to reiterate, it's trying to provide clarity, and I think that's a good thing when it comes to the law itself. So with that, Gary, did you have anything else to add on that?
I just wanted to update you on the status of that letter.
All right.
All right, final item for issues is Commissioner Communications, and you do have a policy session this morning.
Okay. All right. Can we move on to the policy session, or do we need to come back?
There's
to that?
time for you to do Commissioner Communications.
Yeah, okay. We'll go ahead and start with Commissioner Communications. I'll start with you, Martha.
Well, thank you for that, Chair. As I said, I've been working on the workforce issue that we're going to be faced with. We have been a standalone for a while as a Clackamas Workforce Partnership. I'll be talking to Pam Treese about this and my other colleagues around the county, because assuming that there is a consolidation that's going to be moving forward, we want to make sure that we have enough representation on a new reconstituted board, that Clackamas County gets what they need in order to continue to do the training and the work that we do for the citizens, not just of our county, but at this point, it will probably be for the tri-county region. The other piece that I've been working on that we'll have a discussion tomorrow is we've been working with the Community College and Oregon State University about co-locating extension services at a campus, on the CCC campus. I'll be talking tomorrow with the local Extension Advisory Board because they still have some trepidation about what this is going to look like. And so I will be speaking with them tomorrow. I don't know if Nancy Bush is going to be joining me or not, Gary. I guess I'll find that out. But we want to make sure that everybody's, any consternation there might be out there, that gets put to bed, and that we basically say, this will work for everyone. So those are the two biggest things I'm working on lately, and other than that, that's all I have for the day.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Sebas.
Yeah, I'll be brief and just really talk about one thing here today. I know that we had quite a week last week with a number of events, and I think there's a national concern right now that the pressures or perhaps the rhetoric, if you will, as some people call it, and back and forth, the political environment is such that it's getting very challenging. And I think that, a lot of people are asking for calm. I concur with that. I think it's all of us to be mindful. Even our short discussion here today about the Marion County thing, I think I just ask everyone to, look into it, look into the details and figure out what it is we're doing. I think it's important upon us and incumbent upon us as leaders to be as accurate as we can and honest as we can in whatever we say, so we don't increase any animosity or take on sides or, division within our communities or politics, whatnot. I think that it's incumbent upon us again to be adults, be accurate, honest, and not throw out any incendiary comments or be perceived as such or anything inaccurate. And I ask the public to do that as well. I mean, please ask if you think you've got or you heard that, the county's taken a position here or whatnot. Ask for clarity, and we'll do our best to provide that and make sure. I think we all need to remain calm. And make sure that we are being adults. And frankly, it should be very obvious to all of us that we as elected leaders need to make decisions based on facts, not on polling or hypotheticals or anything else. So that's our job. So we want to make sure that when people have concerns about something and they're encouraging us maybe to take a position one way or another, that they have the facts as well. And I think sometimes it's very clear that people are hearing things that are not really based in fact. I don't care what the topic is. It right now is just too toxic out there, and there's no place for people to be shot at or abused or anything else. But Chair, that's all I have for today.
Thanks. Commissioner West.
Thank you, Commissioner Savas, for those comments. I would agree, and I just remind everybody that we must always stand against all forms of political violence of all stripes and of every kind, and that the best way for us to solve our differences is with our words, and we got to keep talking, and we got to find a way to have even sometimes difficult conversations. And so I think that is the way that we solve our differences productively. So there's some news breaking as of last night or yesterday. I don't know if the board knows this, but one of our senators, Senator Bonham, is stepping down from his seat, and we will be filling a new Senate seat or working with some other counties to fill a new Senate seat. It's proportionally mostly in Clackamas County, and state representative out of the Canby area. Christine Drazen has already made it known that she will be vying for that seat. I'm sure there will be others. They're PCPs, just for the public's how we do. We've done a few of these this year already, but when there's a vacant seat in the state legislature, it goes to the counties and the PCPs of the party of the incumbent to fill that seat. So PCPs will meet. They'll give us a few candidates. Then those candidates will come before the Board of County Commissioners of the counties that are in that congressional district, And then the weight of the vote is where the population sits. Most of the vast majority of the district does sit in Clackamas County. So that's an interesting new development that we're going to wade through again. And I wish Senator Bonham the best. I think he's done a fantastic job representing his district. He's a good man, and he is a good public servant. So whatever that next chapter for him and his new wife is, then we wish them the best. And I want to thank Senator Bonham for his service. And then I guess we look forward to navigating in the next, I don't know if he's about to technically resign or he has technically resigned. I'd have to look at the news reports. I don't remember, but we have about 30 days to figure out how to get through this process by statute. So just an update with that. It was reported in coin, so I think it's fair for me to talk about it from the dais. I'm not breaking confidence with anybody. And I don't know if all my colleagues were aware. We're busy, so sometimes even when news breaks, we may not be glued to our phones and see what the new news is. So just wanted to put that out there. And I think it's good for the public to know that we're about to take on that task also moving forward. So I don't have much else to add. It was a busy week, a lot of events last week. I'm sure we can do a recap at the business meeting, but I will, for time's sake, leave my comments there.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Helm.
Thursday I attended via Zoom the Lake Oswego Chamber of Commerce Government Affairs meeting. I think they just mostly wanted to hear from me because I'm new, learn about me, ask me a lot of questions, and it was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I thank them so much for inviting me to do that. That evening I went to the Eagle Creek CPO out in Estacada, but I was the only one there. So I sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes and waited. A book club was coming out and checked their calendar and said no one was scheduled there that night. So Eagle Creek CPO, I tried, I was there, but if you were having it somewhere else, I was unaware. So Friday, I attended the Eastmont Water Company meeting out in Damascus. This is interesting. This is a private water company for 112 homes on a butte. They are in desperate need of money for upgrades and maintenance, and I will be getting an update on that today. I had to leave the meeting a little bit early, but there was another Clackamas County staff member there, and I'll learn more about what happened at the end of it, although I did show up early, so I kind of got the overview before anyone else got there. But kind of fascinating that they have their own water company, their own. But it's getting very old. So, and it's all fed by a well at the bottom of their hill. Isn't that fascinating? I thought, you're not on Sunrise Water, you're not on boring water. Let's see, this is interesting. But I left early to go to Bend to meet my new granddaughter, Penelope. So that was my entire weekend was spent holding my new granddaughter. So that was, I'm over the moon and in love, and it was a great weekend. So
Sounds like it. Congratulations
Thank
again.
you.
Great weekend. Just a couple recaps, and I think the majority of the commissioners were here on 9/11, where the Post 1324 had their 8th annual Patriot Day ceremony, and it was a great turnout right here at the county. So remembering all those that lost their lives on 9/11. On Monday, the Association of County Treasurers and Financial Officers is actually having meetings here all week, and I got to welcome them to the county. Amazing group of individuals throughout the state talking about financial issues. One of the things I was hoping to get to is their one on economic forecasting and some of the finances going on around the state. And I'll just give a shout out to Gary, who's kind of a Toastmaster leader was also presented to the group about giving presentations, and got to get some of Gary's material. So I had no idea he was so talented at that. So congratulations, Gary, for your hard work there. And also just very much looking forward to Wednesday, Grand Ronde. Leadership folks are coming. We have a meeting. Very excited to. It'd be the first time for me to meet those individuals, so very much looking forward to that. So I think with Commissioner Communication, that is all I have, so I think we can move on, if that's all right with you, Gary.
Yes. So you have a single policy session today, which is a proposed county event venue. Dan Johnson, Director of Transportation and Development, will present because I assigned this topic to him. Thank you, Dan, for doing that. And Laura Edmonds, as we mentioned, is out ill today, otherwise she would have presented too. So Dan's just going to kick off a conversation with you and help you guide us on next steps you'd like to see. Dan, go ahead, please.
Thanks so much. You recently had a strategic planning retreat. As a part of that effort, essentially there was a discussion regarding a county-owned and managed event venue. Although it was not included in the final strategic plan, there was a request to kind of bring it forward for additional consideration and assessment. There isn't a lot of information in the materials that you see, but I thought it was interesting. I just did some research, and Washington County essentially took steps to develop and implement a large event center known as Wingspan out near their fairgrounds. It's a pretty large facility, and actually included in the materials as an attachment is kind of a summation of the event facilities based around the local region, and includes obviously the Wingspan Event Center. I wasn't able to get a lot of additional information around the success and bookings around that particular site, but we can do additional research if the board desires. Essentially, we are here to bring the topic up for consideration and discussion, answer any questions you might have. If there is desire from this board to advance an assessment, we are going to need some specificity from you in regards to kind of scope, scale, size, concept, whatever you may be considering. We do not currently have a large-scale facility. There are some located in Clackamas County. We have smaller facilities. So, for example, we have some small meeting space out at Stone Creek Golf Club and some additional areas like that. But I know there are a number of private vendors, a number of hotels and things of that nature that do provide similar rental space for events of this nature. So that is all I've got. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Right. Commissioner Salas.
Yeah, well, I have been to the Wingspan Event Center several times, and for different events. I have gleaned somewhat. It was last year, I think. It was a year. I think it was earlier this year. Last time I attended an event there, and what I gleaned from that is that it's not as utilized as it could be. A nice facility, but if we were to build that same thing today at today's cost, it'd be probably double to triple that $40 million. Quite a bit, because that was completed in 2020. It was bid out in the 19, I believe. Takes up a lot of land. There's a big parking lot, obviously, for an event facility like that. It takes up a lot of space and land, and ideally, we make the best of it. But one thing that does, main reason I turn my light on is I would. I don't know exactly. It'd be nice to see when the new building is built on the fairgrounds at the Clackamas County Event Center. Has a similar name. But I think we ought to, at least be mindful that we would want to make sure that, first of all, that we let the Fair Board know that we're, just talking at a high level about this. Certainly there's no resources to build this. There's no money to build this. And there's probably challenging even finding the land to build it. I mean, businesses are finding difficulty just finding land. We already talked about that earlier and in the past. So, I do know that we've utilized the Camp Withacombe because it's essentially has event facilities there. I've been, but that one big room that they have there on the first floor. They've had large events there. I've been to some of those there as well. So we do have opportunities for like big events, but perhaps I'd like to glean from my colleagues as to knowing what we do have in the county, what is it that we don't have in the county per se? What scope or what level of service or amenity is it that we're seeking? I would love to have that, certainly, but gifted, of course, but hate to pay for it. But that's all I have, Chair.
Yeah, if I might just comment on it, I think that kind of what I envisioned, and I guess really kind of, I'll talk a little bit about my experience. So for over 20 years, I hosted an event called the Child Abuse and Family Violence Summit. Last number of years were well over 1,000 people would attend. And I did all I could to keep it in Clackamas County. We first started at the Holiday Inn in Wilsonville. We booked the hotel solid. It was a huge economic boost to the entire community. They were actually overwhelmed. Unfortunately, there is no place, so my next stop was downtown Portland at the DoubleTree. Within a few years, we maxed that hotel out. And then eventually, for the last, probably 15 years, we were at the Holiday Inn. It's now the Holiday Inn, Red Line on Jansen Beach. And we would book the hotels around the area, the restaurants would thrive, and it just always was frustrating to me that we couldn't host it here in our own county to benefit our own county, and making all of our folks that would attend to drive to Portland. And we have an absolutely beautiful county. And so, and when I look at these numbers, I know a lot of these hotels very well, and I know when I see the seating, I'm going, oh, right. It says 1,500 at Red Lion. That's probably theater seating, and it's packed. At 1,000, that's all that hotel could handle. And so when you see these numbers, I know the people that can actually fit in there and really operate it well. So now, what I see is we have a beautiful golf course with manufactured homes on the property out there. There's a lot of land. Could they, and I'm not asking we look at building the Taj Mahal. I realize we don't have that money. I do see financial opportunities come up down the road where perhaps money can be used towards a project. So really just trying to think outside the box. Is there anything? What are those opportunities? Could we bring it back for further discussion to really help generate some revenue? And I'll take it back to John Mante when he built the baseball field out there off of 212 up on the hill and kind of out your woods. And all the baseball teams use it. It was always very active, at least when I was watching the activity up there. I haven't seen it for a while. But really just trying to look at, are there opportunities that this might make sense or might not? So at this particular time, I think that's where, and Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, that golf course does generate revenue that helps offset other parks, or is that correct, Gary?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, so, again, not looking for like a hotel or major facility like that, looking could there be one room that we could maximize out there? They could also use it for weddings or other events. And the other thing I think that I saw was, we recently met with Clackamas Community Center folks, and they want to do a fundraising. And I wish we had a lot of money to give to them. And right now, we're struggling. But could it be an opportunity where if we had a building, we could give a nonprofit discount, basically make it as minimal as we possibly can? They can go raise their money in a location that we as a county support. So I guess at this point, it's really just looking is there anything outside the box that could help stimulate the economy and help support some of the things we care about? So I see Commissioner West has a comment. And I think you do too.
Yeah.
I agree there's a need. I think the Portland area lacks quality event space in general, compared to other metropolitan areas. There's some big hurdles I don't know if we can overcome. One, we can't subsidize we can't subsidize an event space, so can you show it can pencil out? Is there metrics that says it will pay for itself eventually? Because the taxpayers have real crises they're dealing with, like homelessness, housing, recovery campuses, all these other major priorities that are we're tasked with also. And so I would need to know, how does this pencil out? And is the taxpayer subsidizing something that would mostly benefit private sector? Not that there can't be a public-private partnership, but that's an important question. Where is the land? That golf course, I think, has untapped potential. I don't know if it could be an event space. I don't think there's enough land there for that, but I think it probably could produce revenue for the parks, and those manufactured homes maybe could be upgraded. Or like that, to me, that might pencil out. That's a different conversation. Yeah, like where is it going to go? We all been to the Wingstop. AOC does events out of the Wingstop. It's nice. It's not huge, but it's nice. But I don't know. I think those are big barriers that hypothetically, I'm not disagreeing with you, Chair. I just think there's big barriers on is it even possible to get there, and what does that first step look like? And should we invest any money in something that is really difficult to even get over the finish line? Is it right? Are we being practical, I guess?
Right. And I guess just to respond, then I'll go to you too, if that's all right. Just that, this is just an exploratory stage right now. Financials and what that'll look like will really, hypothetically, just say it was a golf course, right? And Dan would come back and go, look, I can have this building built, it would cost this amount of money, there's these three options of possibly funding options or grants or other opportunities. It will generate this amount of revenue and we'll have it paid off within a certain period of time. And we see the economic development for this area to do A, B, and C. So I think that's all kind of down the road. And at this stage, it's just, look, is this even viable? Let's just take a look. And I know a lot of hotel owners are very interested. And who knows, they might want to take up that. It might be a partnership with a couple hotels owners, say, hey, look, we really want this, but we're going to do it together, and just facilitating some of the conversations. So I think kind of everything's on the table, but just to have a conversation as, is this even possible? And I think we really have to I'm trying to look out in the future. I have concerns, and Dan and I have talked about this, about the town center and what's happening in malls in the country. What is the future of the mall? I mean, I'd like to have conversations about that. I just would hate to see one day as hey, it's closed, right? And there's really been no forethought or oh gosh, that could be A, B, or C. So really having that conversation with the business community, and is it even something that they feel would be a benefit to the community. So I want to make sure I share time for, and I'm sorry, Commissioner Helm or Savas? I'm sorry.
Savas.
Okay,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I understand, it sounds like it's more of a conceptual thing, and, I think what comes to mind, you mentioned Hoodview Park, was the name of the park, and just so you know, we even had this conversation yesterday with Kia and Mr. Munns about another ballpark. Yeah, they do generate revenue, but they don't generate enough revenue to pay the bills, but they do generate revenue, right? But they're in the red. So I think we have to be very mindful of what the actual utilization might be conceptually. Or is there a investor that's got, can roll out the money and can put the hotel, work with the hoteliers to make sure there's hotel capacity, and then what the draw is, and of course where, and when I think of the golf course, I think about the one-lane road, which barely has enough capacity to get people back and forth to work from where they live, south of Clackamas, or in the south part of Clackamas. So I'm not here to criticize, but I think a lot of people that conceptualize will kind of look at and talk to some of those people. I don't mind having the conversation. I just don't want to put a lot of any money really behind it unless there's someone who is going to fund this. So, where it goes, the land, and where the hotel capacity is to make it work, where maybe the events might be that might have enough activity to utilize a facility. So I just have really one basic question. It sounds like you've thought this through, Chair. So do you have an idea, Chair, where the dollars might come? Would this be publicly funded? And if so, where would the money come from? Or is there someone willing to invest private funds to build this?
Well, I've heard people willing to invest in it. I also think that, and I probably disagree with you on some of it, and maybe we have to pull the numbers to look, but my understanding, the golf course does pay for itself and does.
Oh, the golf course does?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
That's
I
my
don't
point.
disagree with
That's-
that.
yeah, okay. Well, you were saying it
No, I
didn't
meant
pay
the
for it.
Hoodview, the ballpark didn't pay for
Okay.
itself.
Okay, yeah, and so I think that if it's thought out, yes, it can have the ability, and I guess I would say this too, is just like, not looking at the convention center. I'm not saying anything like that size, right? This could be a room that's large enough to hold, a few hundred people or something, right? Where you could host, and it could be a phased approach, if you look at that and go, look, for this amount of money, I could build this. We can be able to rent it out, help generate some revenue. We can host different events there. You can do the state of the county address and a lot of other things that you can invite, different entities in to draw them into the county for a number of reasons. So I'll just tell you, like, for example, one of the which is a huge draw, is just when I was sheriff, the Oregon State Sheriff's Association, I tried to bring them into our county. And everybody from the entire state comes it's like 2 times a year to different parts of Oregon, and not to be able to bring them into our county and generate all that revenue for that time, for a whole week, is really a lot of money. And so that's where I just think in this economic time, really, I realize things are tight, but this is when I really believe you need to kind of look outside the box. Are there any things that we can do that are completely different that can help offset some costs? So I think right now, we're just having a conversation and would just have enough. I think staff was looking at the direction of just basically to study it a little bit, the potential of a possible event center, what that might look. And Dan might come back and go, look, you know what, it's too much. And we'd say, okay, then that's the way it is. So right now, it's just exploratory. Sorry, I think you're next.
And that's kind of one of my first questions is how much would it cost just to even study it? What kind of staff hours are involved? And I guess I'm a very visual person. You realize I come from that background in my business. Are you talking about something larger than the Abernethy Center, but smaller than, say, the convention? I mean, there's got to be something in between, because the Abernethy Center seats up to, 300 people or so? But you're looking for something in the several hundred, beyond 300, less than, greater than, less than, how big, what's the footprint? I'm on board with the concept. I think it is something that's needed here. I would love to look at redevelopment potential in some areas, if there's areas. The problem I see with event centers is they sit empty a lot, right? They do generate a lot of revenue when all those people come to town, but in between these events, and especially over the winter months, they sit empty. So we want to build a jail, and we want, we need money still for the recovery center, and we have all these financial challenges ahead of us. So I think it's worth studying, but I also don't want to pour a whole lot of money into something that is,
Right.
it's visionary. I love visionary stuff. I love thinking long-term stuff, but I also don't want to pour money down the.
Yeah, and if I could just kind of respond to your, that you are right, and that's where I've seen different entities go wrong. I will say the convention center is it is so huge, right? It's
Too big.
It's too,
Right.
and where I have seen success is multi-purpose rooms, the ability to split rooms into sections, right? You might not always have, 300 or whatever, and you've got 2 groups, and now you can't generate the revenue to fill those. You have the ability to split rooms and also open it up if you want a large, and those are the kinds of things that, Dan and staff can sort out is, hey, look, this makes more sense to do A, B, and C. I agree with you about not really trying to dump a ton of money into this and staff time, and I think just really some initial preliminary stuff might give us the idea of like, look, okay, this is too much, so I guess I'd ask, let's do a step. Now, I'm not sure who's next, West or Schrader, so.
Martha hasn't spoken.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I travel across the country at the National Association, because of my involvement with the National Association of Counties, and to bring them here, for example, it would have to be done at this is what I'm thinking, size, scope, I'm trying to figure this out. It would have to be at the convention
Yeah,
center.
they're huge.
That's at 3,000, that brings 3,000 people, anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 people into the area, and our county would not be able to, it would have to be hosted in the Portland metro region. Obviously, there'd be things we can do in the county, whatever. But so I'm just trying to understand what is the size and scope of this, because do we already, if we've got the it can be, and they frame that as an event center, and then we've got, the Abernathy, which is a smaller center. And then where's the place, everybody, Carver? Isn't there an event center out in Carver, too?
It's small.
Very small.
That's a really
Very small.
small one.
Yeah.
So, are we talking about just enlarging a footprint at the golf course? I mean, that's what I don't know where we put something like that. And if there, I could see that being entrepreneurial, but what kind of groups are we targeting here? And is the market in our county already saturated with, so you kind of have to do a pro forma, wouldn't you, to see some kind of an analysis, unless there's if there's an investor, out there that wants to give it a go. I can see that, but.
Private-public partnerships, yeah.
It would have to be really, from my perspective, anything like that at the golf course would be better to have it be a private entity that would finance it all, and then who runs it? I don't know what that would look like, right?
Right.
So anyway,
Commissioner West had a comment.
Chair Roberts, I share your concern about town center.
there's town
We had
center.
the and it's close enough in. So like, to be honest, the golf course is wonderful, but it's not close in and it's quite rural out there all of a sudden. And the capacity for that type of, it's just not close enough into anything. So that's nice, but that's a different conversation in my opinion. However, the town center area, when I was a kid, that was the creme de la creme. If you could get your school closed at the town center, that was a big deal. The ice skating rink, the promenade across the street. Clackamas County was a nice, clean, safe area. You had the aquatic park that opened when I was a boy. And now that area is on life support. That used to be one of our commercial hubs, our retail hubs, and it is absolutely struggling. You hear more about that area in the news for all the wrong reasons and not the good ones. It has to become more diversified in what it actually offers, or it does damage the county in a significant way. I don't know what the plan is for those that own that property and that group that's engaged. But maybe a conversation that includes some type of public-private, I don't know how we would even, maybe we facilitate something, I don't know what money we have, but to maybe help bring people together to start having a real big conversation about what's happening with Town Center. Maybe that includes an event space with other business to support and diversify, because event spaces are empty so often. And then there's additional attractions for an event because there's additional draws to that specific area beyond just the event. For when people go eat, they go out, there's other hotels, there's things, right? So to me, that makes sense because in many ways, it's a gateway into Clackamas County to the Portland metro area. If we ever get the Sunrise Corridor and other things out in that direction, it makes sense for where development could happen. That's way down the road, but maybe we start conversations and that's, hey, we'll help you plan, what do you think? And we can do it in partnership. To me, that makes maybe a little bit of sense. The staff right now, I'm always told, has no bandwidth for anything else. Dan, what is your bandwidth to take on an effective study planning out into the future and it's going to have expense to it and staff time. What, in all honesty, what is your ability to put something forward that's productive and useful? Like, with the bandwidth that you have, like, you guys are stretched.
As the county administrator would say, we will do whatever the
That's
board
not the
desires
answer I
that we do.
want. That's
and we'll
not the
do that
answer
with
I
a happy
want. I
smile
want-
on our face. Well, I mean,
I want reality. I want to know, like,
we
honestly.
don't develop these. I'll be honest with you. I've never developed a event center. I mean, we've done the transportation maintenance building. I inherited the libraries. We do stuff.
Yeah.
We're dealing with the event center down at Canby right now and helping them. It's a great partnership. We're working through all those nuances. I couldn't even begin to tell you. I mean, and I guess for the record, I think a little more about the town center, about the opportunities that are there. It's an amazing site, amazing opportunities. It's fully served. It's just full of a lot of great stuff and a lot of, maybe this is a first blush on a discussion with them about interests they may have in that particular area. Right now, what you're talking about, and this is, again, never developed an event center before, but what you keep rolling back and forth with is this like 200 to 300 people.
Yeah.
That means you're looking at a facility, what 300 to 400 then, and you're looking at a facility somewhere around 10 to 15,000 square feet, give or take. And then there's a dollar amount for that per square foot to construct that. I don't know if there's any private interest in there to do something like that. We'd have to put out what we call probably an RFI. You see it a lot with H3S when they have interest in providers or providing certain services on, is there an interest in the private side to partner on something like that? And I couldn't tell you that. And that would be something we'd have to work with county administration because we don't have, I mean, you talk about us, DTD doesn't have a lot of money set up. A lot of it's either restricted or some general fund support in our programs. But it would be a partnership in that discussion. I'd walk away from this dais and with a partnership with tourism and what their interests are, a discussion with EcoDevo and what their interests are, and then follow up with Gary and develop some sort of a plan and what that looks like.
It looks like there is probably 10 places that do 2 to 400. So randomly, a brand new 2 to 400 place to me, the market has to decide this at a certain point. Like, we are not solving this problem, even if we plan it. The market plans this, and we can be amicable and get out the way. But something has to happen with Town Center, and it's the market's role in this, in how we operate to solve this problem. And it's for us to not be too much gumming up the works to allow them to do what they do best. They can do it cheaper, faster, and more affordably than government can. And they're gonna have their own plan. We can try to partner and facilitate some things, but I don't understand how this is our specific role as a government to engage in this way, to like build or develop something, especially if it's only for 2 to 400 people.
Yeah, and I think if I could just kind of follow up too, just kind of on your thoughts on that, and I guess, okay, what I'm trying to get everybody to kind of scale down, we should have a conversation which might be separate from this about the town center, for example, so that we have an understanding how they're doing, what the future brings. Where I kind of keep coming back to, and I know Paul talked about heavy traffic, I just see the golf course as this wonderful spot. I know other golf courses host weddings at their event. I know I've talked to a number of people that do smaller events, that do weddings. They're booked literally for a couple years. As soon as something comes open, you want a weekend, get in line, right? And so those can go anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000 and up. And so that is why we're having an explosion in our county of people wanting to host venues on their farms and other places because it does generate revenue. And so I see something along those lines that's, again, kind of bring it back to that multi-purpose room that has the ability to do a number of different things. We do have a beautiful golf course that I don't think is being maximized like it could, and might be a baby step just to look at that, to say, is this even feasible? So the county did that golf course, and I think they, right, Zinser?
It was before it was Zinser.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I have to say, they did a great job. And I've been out there, yeah.
But Chair, are we now talking about redeveloping a golf course, or are we still on an event center? Because the event center is not gonna go with the golf course.
That was why I put my light on, was to
Right.
ask that question. So, if I may, I think the redevelopment or the future of Clackamas Town Center is one entirely different conversation. But I think it's a conversation worth having because it's a prime location, centrally located off of a freeway. And I would be curious, malls across America that have dried up have reinvented themselves, and they've done a fabulous job of turning those areas into experiences for people, right? It's now they're entertainment centers, they're family-friendly places, the shopping thing is done, right? We've moved on, we've evolved from that type of shopping experience that you had, that my kids had when, going to the mall was the thing. I would love to know about that. And I will do my own research because I think it's kind of fascinating to see what malls have been successful in reinventing themselves. As for the event space, I think you're talking about something larger than 300 people because we already have plenty of those. And I think that having a building on our already owned golf course is something we could look at. But if you're just talking about one building versus, the Taj Mahal or something that, how we kind of tend to start here and then it grows bigger and bigger. Well, let's add this. And, when you remodel your house, well, since we're doing this, we might as well add this because we're already tearing it up. We need to kind of have a better idea of what just that event space you're talking about, because I think we're talking apples and oranges
right.
here. So, and whether that's worth exploring. But what is the need? What are the numbers? What do they rent for? I know Abernathy Center gets a nice paycheck every time, and it's busy a lot. But it's also more centrally located. Stone Creek.
You're going to get into the NIMBYism if you start to overdevelop that golf course out into the rural area, and people don't want. They're out in the rural area.
Well,
often for
I'm just
reason,
saying it's not. I think an event center should be a little more centrally located.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm thinking out loud here. So it just putting it out into Oregon City on an already over, driven highway I think it's tough. But I don't know.
I guess,
I love you.
the only thing I would challenge you on this.
Yes, challenge me.
I love
Go
this.
ahead.
I love this. I would challenge you on this is look how far it's expanded in Damascus. What used to be considered a long ways out in your neck of the woods on Highway 212 and all the development that's gone on, it will be out there someday. Maybe I might be gone,
Someday,
right?
yeah, someday,
And that
yeah.
will be a spot that the community, I think, will be thankful that we saved a golf course,
Well,
right?
yeah, and for that matter, I
Right.
mean, Happy Valley would be the ideal location there's this really beautiful, large chunk of land right next to Highway 212 and 172nd that is sitting empty, right? So there's space available. And Happy Valley has marched eastward, yes, and, we're on the borderline, right, with Happy Valley, and it has grown, but it's taken 25 years for it to get there. So, I don't know. I think there's some locations that are possibilities, but yeah.
Dan's smiling. Savas.
Yeah, so I think it's a great conversation. I just think a cursory conceptual look at this is, I'd be okay with that. I just don't want to spend much in the way of resources unless someone is going to bankroll a deeper study, right? If there's a private investor that's going to bankroll a study, sure, let's partner with them. But Dan, can you remind me, what's the square footage of the new fairground building?
I knew you were going to ask.
I think
that.
it's over 10,000. It's 10,000 or
Yeah.
more. I just think of that big building in Camp Withacombe. That's huge. I know they can get several hundred people in that room. I've been there. And I also, think about the fairground building. They want to get that to be the event center. They've got a lot of parking. And the other thing I also heard, I've had a discussion similar to this, but not necessarily about in Clackamas, and that is restaurant capacity, food capacity, right? You're going to host an event with 500 or 1,000 people. You need to make sure you got kitchens and all the staffing and everything else. But the cost of running those things is really expensive. I think we can even ask Metro. Frankly, they run the convention center, right? We can ask them what their cost. I think we already know what that looks like. They own the Moda Center, right? So I think we can look at some models nearby and say, by the way, how's that pencil out for you, right? And get at least some financial preliminaries. But what's the beauty about it, at least, I'll say beauty, well, that's maybe not the right word, but the advantage for, like the Moda Center or the convention center is there's a lot of hotel capacity and there's a lot of restaurant capacity, right? You have all those essentials. And by the way, you've got a network of the infrastructure to feed that, transportation and all those things that are essential to making that happen. But I don't mind taking a cursory conceptual look at that.
So let us step away
I
and
don't
take a little look. I mean, I think it's a great discussion. It's an interesting discussion because just in the matter of this 20 minutes that we've been talking, we have gone from a, couple thousand square foot to a 2,000 seating capacity facility. I think there's also questions to be asked about, the Blue Heron site. What are topics and discussions that are happening there about the future development of that site?
Well,
and
that
opportunities
tomorrow,
are there.
too.
And we can do some more research on that and kind of bring that back. So.
Just one final comment, and I don't want to belabor this, but I guess if, for example, the town center is in trouble, which I have no idea if it is, because
You haven't been there lately, have you?
I don't go to malls. Yeah, I try to avoid it. But if that happens, that might be something that we might consider talking to private developers to see what can be done with it, okay? Because that will be a big economic total eyesore, just kind of having something like that there. And I do remember back in the heyday of malls that we were approached by external developers, and that was when they redid the whole mall. I don't know if you know that. That was back in like 2004, 2005. Or around that time. I was brand new, and it was this one big flurry. You were here, Dan. I don't know if you were involved in that, were you? Remember, they were coming in and out, and of course, it was Mantei. Mantei and Sinzer were the Wonder Boys, which was fun to work with, But I think that's worth, just for looking at the overall economic vitality of the county. If that's something like that happens, that may be something to prep for, I guess. But right now, it isn't imminent. Am I correct? At least it's still being run as a.
Are you talking about the mall?
Yeah. That, I would worry about if that whole thing closes down, then we'd have a real problem. Yeah.
I want to be crystal clear. We've got no information that suggests that.
Well,
It's more
that's
of a-
what I'm,
No, I
what's
just
my,
wanna- we're having a lot of public
That's what I'm
discussion right here.
saying.
wanna
I
make
mean,
sure
I'm
we're
like-
listening. They've been very good partners, and it's more just around, kind of, as Commissioner Helm said, how we want to be at the willing partner in that discussion if they look to revision that site,
Right.
what it might mean, that hub that is our regional center that we have in Clackamas County. There's been a lot of public investment, in infrastructure and supporting systems that are there, and there are possibilities around that. And that is a discussion that we've had previously, and then we look forward to having more of going forward. They have been willing partners and have been having very open discussions
yeah,
with us about
it's not,
opportunities.
I'm not seeing, as I said, that's my point, is I'm not seeing anything that's indicating that that's the case at this point.
And there's an amazing amount of land that's there, that's, that hasn't been developed, that has services. And so when you think about the cost and efficiency of development, I'm not doing greenfield development where I'm bringing infrastructure out. I'm repurposing areas, and that's an exciting, as you said, Martha, that was a lot of the effort that went on when they expand there, and that was led by General Growth Properties. They came to us and wanted to expand.
Exactly.
They did a lot of those external elements to the mall. They were great partners. We worked with them on the development agency.
And I think we owned the only thing we owned was that's because of Larry Soa. I think we owned the parking structure by Nordstrom's, right?
We have some planning in regards to the parking structure, and we actually have that little grove of trees. For some reason, we have that grove of trees that's out
Yes.
there by Sunnyside
There you go,
Road.
there's a spot.
There you go.
Commissioner West had one more comment, and then I think we'll.
All this talk about town center makes, just get me hungry for Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, okay.
Sounds so good right now. Before we spend a lot of money, maybe we could we're talking about forums, maybe a business forum to have the community advise us about their thoughts about this. Some would be good. Maybe it pulls back a little bit and we're seeing if there's even a public appetite for us to engage here in something like this. But, just a thought, maybe some type of forum like that could be beneficial as we have different topics we can bring up.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. Well, with
We can have direction.
being
Dan
said,
Dan doesn't.
Talking
Dan doesn't have it.
and bloviating.
he's got like 4 pages of notes.
So Chair, I just want to say one thing. I just want to just let people, there are some very viable businesses that are doing very well in the town center. So,
Agreed.
let-
Yes,
I just
I-
want to, I don't want to pour cold water on, and, some of those have been longtime tenants. They have a lot of Clackamas County employees that work here. They're Clackamas County owned. So, granted, that type of shopping center mall model is being revisioned all around the country. But that doesn't mean we need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's a lot of successful businesses in and around the town center, so.
Yes, and if I may just follow up, I totally agree with you. And this is, I'm just talking about getting ahead of it, right? And that there's potential there. There's a lot of unused land there, even during busy hours. That parking lot is not always full. So it's just, I see opportunity, and there are a lot of viable businesses there. Re-envisioning that is, I just came from Bend this weekend and went down to Riverbend, their little, oh my God, it's just gorgeous. And it's vibrant and it's healthy and people are happy and it's just a great gathering place for a lot of people. So I know some of the businesses in Clackamas Town Center are struggling, but there are some that are doing quite well. So, but they have to, they're kind of the glue that holds each other together too. So I understand that, but I'm pro-business all the way. I think if we can make them healthier, I think we're doing a good thing for them.
All right. Well, it was a great, robust conversation. Gary, unless you have anything else?
I do. So you don't need a motion, but we will come back to you with further concepts of what this could look like. We will do that. I want to answer your question, Commissioner West. I'm responsible for implementing all your direction, and because I can't do it myself, I rely on department directors. They rely on their staff. Our focus is right here, these 10 goals you've set for us, and you directed us to bring this to you at your retreat. So you did ask us to bring this forward, which we are. There's always a staff impact, but this is a worthy idea to pursue further. So we'll come back to you with options for your further action.
Yes.
Yeah, and make sure we engage the fair board and the facility and see what they have for their overall master plan vision.
All right. Well, this will now conclude our business meeting. Thank you all for joining us.